Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to talk about using a common tone over a series of chord changes. And a while back I did a video on the first part of a tune, How Insensitive, using these 3-note chords. And in that what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one particular open string, which is going to be the common tone throughout the entire tune. A very common vehicle for composers like Jobim would be that he would have a common tone running through as a thread of the tune, and it's interesting to find out what that is, and I'll show you right now. Alright, let's take a look at this. The tune How Insensitive has lots of chord changes in it, and what I did in that previous video is I just did the first sets of chords, which would basically be the first 16 bars. And that was D minor 9 or D minor 7, and I did this shape here, and then A7 over C sharp, we did this, and then we went to the C minor 6th with this shape, and then the G7 over B with this shape, and then B flat major 7 with this shape, and then this shape for the E flat major 7, and then for the minor 2-5-1 E minor 7 flat 5 A7 to D minor I had half diminished, and this is the dominant 7, and this is going to the 1 chord. So what I can do is take a note that is the common tone. It actually is a common tone for the entire tune basically, and that's the note G. If we start with the D minor 9, we put a G on the top, you see that's the 11. For the A7 over C sharp, the G, again that's the flat 7, and then the C minor 6th or 9, whatever you want to call it, this is the 5th, and then the G is the root for the G7 over B, and then for the B flat it's either the 6 or the 13, and then the 3rd of the E flat major 7, and then the half diminished, again this is the minor 3rd of that chord, and then of course the flat 7, and then back to the D. You could actually pedal that G note throughout the entire tune, and it would sound like this. Sounds great. You know, I just have to concern myself with playing rhythmic figures. There's only one chord where it gets a little bit dicey, is the 2-5-1 where the B minor 9 is playing to the E7 flat 9. You can get away with it. I would have played a different note if I had my choice, but I was trying to keep that common tone for all of the chords. And for the most part it works well, but it's a good pedal tone to use as well. I'm going to play just the first 16 bars like I did in that example and show you how to use the open G string to do that using those chord shapes that we had in that other video. So we had this one. Now I have a G string down here, so I can just use that as my line. And then sounds great because I have that G string as a pedal tone for each of those shapes. Now there's a bunch of things I can do with this, and I use these a lot. Even when I don't have a diatonic note that's in the chord, I use the open strings for pedal tones to give some texture and some color to the line that I'm playing. You can listen back to a lot of solos, and I'm going to probably do a video soon where I'll talk about specific solos from certain records where you can hear that example. This gives you an idea of the versatility of having that open G string, but also having just the pedal tone G for almost the entire tune of How Insensitive. It's a great way to really understand how each note that you play has an effect and has an influence on the chords, because I didn't talk about all the chord shapes. I talked about the first 16 bars, but you could go through every chord that we just played on that whole tune and you could say what the G note was. So I hope that gives you some new perspectives of how to use, first of all, pedal tones, but also use the open strings when you're playing lines over certain tunes.